Welcome to How to Vote Smart, Understanding Elections. Did you know that in some elections, a few hundred votes can decide the winner? That's right. Your vote matters more than you think. Let's get straight to the point. Many people believe that voting is confusing and doesn't make a difference. But here's a shocking fact: in the 2016 US presidential election, over 100 million eligible voters didn't vote. That's almost half the eligible population. Voting is your power. It's your voice. And understanding how to vote smart can change everything. From decoding political jargon to debunking myths, we're here to make it simple and clear. Imagine knowing exactly what each candidate stands for and understanding the complex world of campaign finance. Picture yourself as a super voter, confident and informed. That's what we're aiming for. Stick with us through these chapters. We'll uncover the secrets of the election process, reveal the truth behind campaign money, and teach you how to spot real policy impacts. You'll learn how to vote not just with your heart, but with your head too. Ready to become a smart voter? Let's dive in. Chapter 1: Deciphering the jargon, beyond, left, and right. When it comes to politics, words often get tossed around like salad ingredients without much thought to their real meaning. Ever heard of neoliberal or populist? These terms often confuse more than clarify. So, let's simplify things a bit. First off, left and right originated from where politicians sat during the French Revolution. Left usually means more government control, right means less. But today, these terms blend and bend in many ways. It's more about what these policies do than where they sit on the spectrum. For instance, when someone talks about progressive policies, they generally mean initiatives aimed at creating social equality. Think free healthcare or education. Conservative policies often aim to preserve traditional values and may push for lower taxes. It's interesting to note that many young voters don't strictly identify with traditional parties anymore. A Pew Research study found that 45% of young adults prefer policies from both sides, showing a shift towards more nuanced political identities. Diving deeper, terms like fiscal conservative or social liberal pop up. A fiscal conservative might want to cut spending, but not necessarily push conservative social policies. Conversely, a social liberal could support same-sex marriage but favor cutting back on government programs. Understanding these terms can empower you to see beyond the labels. It's not about left or right, it's about what actions are taken and their impact on society. Chapter 2: Election Engines, How Your Vote is Processed. Ever wondered what happens after you cast your vote? It's not just a simple count, there's a whole system behind it. Let's peel back the curtain on the voting process. First, your vote goes through a series of checks for authenticity. This ensures that every vote counted is legitimate. In the US, less than 0.0009% of votes are fraudulent, according to the Brennan Center for Justice. So despite what some headlines claim, voter fraud is extremely rare. Technology plays a big role here. Some areas use electronic voting machines, while others stick with paper ballots. Both systems have backups and safeguards to protect the integrity of the vote. For example, electronic machines often produce a paper receipt that can be verified by the voter. Interestingly, the way ballots are counted can vary widely. In Oregon, for instance, voting is done entirely by mail, which has been shown to increase turnout. Studies suggest that mail-in voting can boost participation by up to 10%, particularly among younger and older voters. And what about after the votes are in? They're usually tallied by local officials and then reported up the chain. This process can take hours or even days, which is why sometimes we don't know the winner right away. This chapter should clear up some of the mystery behind voting systems and reassure you that the process is more secure and intricate than most people think. Chapter 3: Follow the Money, Understanding Campaign Finance. Campaign finance might sound dull, but it's actually where a lot of the action happens in politics. It's like the fuel for the engine of every campaign. Let's demystify where the money comes from and what it means for your vote. Did you know that in the last presidential election, billions of dollars were spent? It's a huge sum that goes into advertisements, rallies, and even those pesky robocalls. Knowing who funds these campaigns can tell you a lot about a candidate's priorities and who might influence them once in office. For example, if a candidate receives substantial funding from environmental groups, they might focus more on green policies. Conversely, significant donations from big oil can hint at a less aggressive stance on climate change. This info is all public and can be found on sites like opensecrets.org. Another interesting point is the rise of small donations. In recent elections, some candidates have built their campaigns almost entirely through small donations from regular folks. This can indicate a broad base of grassroots support without heavy ties to big money interests. It's also worth noting that money doesn't always mean success. There are numerous cases where the candidate who spent the most didn't win. It's not just about how much money you have, but how you use it to connect with voters. Understanding these financial flows can help you see beyond the slogans to the real power dynamics in elections. It makes you a more informed voter, able to choose leaders who genuinely represent your values. Chapter 4: The Power of Policy, What Really Matters in Your Ballot. Voting isn't just about picking a leader, it's about choosing policies that will shape your community and country's future. Here's how you can sift through the noise to focus on what matters: policy. Forget the flashy ads and focus on what candidates are proposing. What are their plans for healthcare, education, or the economy? These are the questions that affect your daily life. For instance, if a candidate proposes to cut taxes, consider who benefits most from those cuts. Is it the majority of the population, or just a wealthy few? Similarly, proposals for healthcare reform have implications for everyone's access to doctors and medical care. Did you know that many voters make their decisions based on one or two key issues? According to a recent survey, healthcare remains the top concern for many. By focusing on what matters to you, you can cut through the clutter of a campaign. It's also useful to look at non-partisan analysis of these policies. Organizations like the Congressional Budget Office provide reports on how policies could affect the economy. This helps you understand the broader impact beyond the campaign promises. By focusing on policies rather than personalities, you become a more strategic voter, making decisions based on the potential outcomes for your life and your community. Chapter 5: Election Myths Debunked. There's a lot of misinformation out there about elections. Some of it's just rumors, while some are more deliberate attempts to mislead. Let's clear up a few of the biggest myths. First up, the myth that your vote doesn't matter. This couldn't be further from the truth. In the 2020 US presidential election, some states were decided by just a few thousand votes. Your vote is a crucial part of the democratic process. Another common myth is that voter fraud is widespread. Studies show that voter fraud is extremely rare. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, the rate of voter fraud in the US is between 0.00004% and 0.0009%. That's less than 1 in a million. You might also hear that mail-in voting is less secure. However, multiple studies have shown that mail-in voting is both safe and effective. In fact, Oregon has been using mail-in ballots since 2000 with very few issues. Ever heard that it's better not to vote if you're uninformed? The reality is, even a little bit of research can make a big difference. There are plenty of non-partisan resources available to help you understand the basics. Websites like Ballotpedia offer easy-to-read guides on candidates and issues. Some people believe that voting is complicated and time-consuming. In reality, many places have made voting easier than ever. From early voting to mail-in ballots, there are numerous ways to cast your vote without the hassle. By debunking these myths, we hope to encourage more people to participate in elections. Voting is your chance to have a say in how your community and country are run. Don't let myths stop you from making your voice heard. Chapter 6: Becoming a Super Voter, Tools and Tips for Every Election. Being a super voter means more than just showing up on election day. It means being informed, engaged, and proactive. Here's how you can become one. First, make sure you're registered to vote. It sounds simple, but many people forget to register or update their information when they move. Websites like vote.org can help you check your registration status quickly. Next, do your homework. Research the candidates and issues on your ballot. Look beyond party lines and focus on what each candidate stands for. Sites like Ballotpedia and Vote Smart provide unbiased information to help you make informed decisions. Take advantage of early voting if it's available in your area. Early voting can save you time and ensure that you don't miss out due to unforeseen circumstances on election day. Consider volunteering for a campaign or at a polling place. Volunteering gives you an inside look at the election process and helps you stay engaged. Plus, it's a great way to meet like-minded people. Stay informed throughout the year, not just during election season. Follow reliable news sources and consider subscribing to newsletters from non-partisan organizations. This will keep you updated on important issues and upcoming elections. Talk to your friends and family about voting. Encourage them to register and educate themselves. Sometimes, a conversation is all it takes to get someone to the polls. Remember, every vote counts. By staying informed and engaged, you can make a real impact. Becoming a super voter isn't just about one election, it's about being an active participant in your democracy every day.